with geometry.
The water was full of some really weird geometry. Some fuzzy circles, some kind of uncertain squares and hexagons that probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. And I was looking at them thinking, wow, they're really beautiful down there in the black, torrid water. And then I realized that, oh, those are the gas lines. The gas lines that had burst because all of the houses and buildings that they had been feeding were no longer on top or attached to them. In fact, they were kind of drifting around, bumping into each other, which is probably not a sound most of you, I want to bet, have heard, the sound of buildings bumping into each other. It's kind of a weird one. High fives, like hand on hand. That's pretty familiar. Car crashes, even car in car. You kind of all know what that sounds like, but the sound of two buildings bumping into each other. You probably don't understand that very well. But there it was. We were surrounded by a lot more sounds too. There were sirens everywhere, air raid sirens, emergency sirens, things like that. Car alarms were going off left, right, and center from cars that would never ever be driven again. People were yelling, mostly directions, Meguro, Dero, stuff like that. But from there on top of the mountain that we were on, through all of that noise, there was one that really cut through it all. And looking down, probably about 20 meters below us, there was this one sad soul kind of flailing around in the water. I could see. Had an undershirt on. And screaming for his mother. Kara-san! Right? Oka! And we didn't know what to do. Kind of standing up there, looking down. But then, I don't know, in panic situations or serious situations, you kind of just start walking, because that's what you gotta do, and you don't even really realize that you're doing it. And so there I was, 3 other people on top of the mountain, at a Buddhist temple called Zen Ninji in Iwate. Going down, wasn't a path, it was a very steep hill. But figuring out how the hell do we get down to that guy, screaming for his mother. And we get down, finally, a bunch of blankets in our hands. There is this large red roof. No building attached to it anymore, of course. Happened to just float up near us, and so we hopped onto it. The 3 other guys that I was with grabbed, I always say it was a telephone pole or something, but a big stick anyway, and kind of fished this guy out of the water. He was still screaming for his mom, but less looking for her and more lamenting kind of her disappearance, his loss. Got him up onto the roof, sat him down, and he shut up almost immediately. Not dead, but in shock. He just passed out. So we wrapped him up. He was in an undershirt, his underwear, and he had socks on. And I remember I couldn't stop looking at his socks, thinking, the fuck are your shoes? You're outside. It's freezing. It's March. It's March 11th. This is Iwate. What are you doing? You're fucking soaking wet. This is ridiculous. So you wrap them up like a burrito. Put a, oh boy, I'm going slow. Put a blanket underneath them and drag him up the hill, bonking his head against all kinds of stuff. Set him into a house. They had a kerosene heater there. 3 people that seemed to know him lay him down next to there, and he seemed all right. He just left. I still don't know his name. That night at Zenninji, we were sitting around the Irori. There were about 15 of us. Nobody really knew what to talk about, except there were 2 people who were a little bit older than 90 saying that this reminded them of the war. But aside from that, we were just listening to this crank radio, listening to tales of nuclear disaster happening in Fukushima. Didn't really know what was going on with that, but it seemed like just another thing to make a bad situation worse. And the next morning, we woke up about 7 a.m. exactly to this big gong, because we were at a Buddhist temple. And there was the priest, still 7 a.m. doing everything he does every day. The incense burning, the candles lit, wearing the full robe, black and purple, gilded, what do you call it, temple thing. And he said, come over here, sit down, have a think, meditate, pray, whatever. I sat down and I was thinking about those broken gas lines that I saw the day before, and those weird shapes that shouldn't have been there. And I also thought about that other kind of geometry that we all had, that line that the 4 of us made in order to get down to that guy and get him out of there. That square that we made to lift him up and pull him up the hill, that circle that we had sitting around in the dark, not knowing what the hell tomorrow or even the rest of the night's gonna bring, but we all had each other. And that's like the human geometry, right? And that's the thing that it can break. It's not invincible, but you can't let it break. And that's my, I don't know, message to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Matt. You reminded me, I should have also told people that I was asked about the bios, because I'm not reading the bios of the storytellers. That